just making sure that we could get as many people into this incredible talk as possible. As you know, many of you are waiting in line outside. Everybody wants to come to this, and there's no surprise. That's no surprise to us. I'm Lydia Malamed Johnson. I'm the executive director of the photography show and APAD, and I'm thrilled to be presenting this talk today as part of our APAD Talks program. This collaboration comes from obviously Sophie Elgort and her fabulous new show, The Portrait Mode with Sophie Elgort, on All Arts, presented by the WNET Group. When we heard about this new show that would be presenting the stories of creatives and especially photographers, we knew we would be a fantastic place to showcase this episode and to have this conversation. So Sophie, thank you for bringing this to us. Arthur and Dara, thank you so much for allowing us to hear your fantastic conversation that's about to happen. And I'm going to hand it over to Sophie now. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll join us in the hall afterwards. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for everyone for coming, and especially thank you to my wonderful panelists for being here today. Unfortunately, Vanessa Friedman broke her arm trapezing last night. She is amazing trapezer, but it's a New York story, right? So anyway, we're gonna miss her, but it's still gonna be a wonderful conversation. So today I wanted to talk about New York City and photography because it's the 400th anniversary of New York City this year. And I wanted to talk about how photography has been so influenced by New York, and the streets of New York has sort of served as an unofficial studio to so many photographers, both past and present. And who better to talk about this than these two New Yorkers here? Both of you embody New York so much to me. I know, Dara, that you're not originally from New York, but you are a true New Yorker in my eyes. And so kicking off, Dara is the fashion director of Interview magazine, and also a model and a stylist and a photographer, and does so many different things. So thank you for being here. And this is my dad, Arthur. So Arthur Elgort is a legendary photographer and has had an outstanding career for over 50 years and counting. Still going strong, and I have to say from a personal standpoint that you probably love photography more than anybody that I know in the world. So I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Sophie Elgort. I am also a photographer, and as you can imagine, grew up around photography from the time I was born.
Yeah, sure.
And my newest venture is a TV show called Portrait Mode on All Arts. And what we do in this show is every episode takes the viewer behind the scenes on a photo shoot, and you get to sort of experience the personal stories and creative processes of world-renowned artists from all different genres. And so one of my favorite episodes features my dad, Arthur. So I thought what we could do is show a little clip from the episode, and then we'll dive in and have a similar conversation to what we do on that show, but here, live. So here we go. On the next episode of Portrait Mode, I am turning the camera around on my dad, legendary photographer Arthur Elgort. You're pretty fast when you shoot, is that right?
Well, it used to be. I take 1 or 2 pictures, and there was no digital, so they couldn't say, you did it wrong.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
No, I used to be a photographer years ago.
So let's get started with our conversation today. And while we talk, you'll notice that there will be a slideshow coming up at some point, which will be images both of Arthur and Dara's work. So look out for that. So Dara, my first question is for you, and it's about your New York City story. So you came from San Diego, and I know you made a lot of your relationships online before you even got here, and then you had a story about a party and getting scouted and walking in a runway show. Anyway, I would love to hear about your story.
Yeah, so is this on? I don't know, I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. Okay.
Sound good.
Yeah, I moved to New York 2016, and before then I was just like sort of an online fashion obsessive, pored over magazines, was like always watching all the runway shows like in high school, and I met a lot of my friends through that, who then became like collaborators, and my best friend Cruz is here, and we moved to New York together, and she's a photographer, and we used to always just like pack a suitcase of clothes episodes into the car and like go out in LA and like shoot pictures. And then when we moved here together, then I ended up meeting like Ethan James Green and like a bunch of other like people who were kind of just all sort of like coming up in this way at the same time, who then started, you know, kind of working at these big publications. But at the time we were just kind of guerrilla shooting in like the park and on the street. And so like when you say New York's a studio, I really relate to that because it is so much a studio to me. And that is really where I like learned how to make a picture and kind of find the right look for a picture, or like, you know, learn how to pose or be in a picture, kind of, or what makes one, you know. And so yeah, it was like I moved to New York, and the weekend after I moved, I went out to a party, and then yeah, kind of that's how I kind of started meeting a bunch of people and started walking in shows and doing shoots and stuff, and it kind of all was really organic, but it was an untraditional sort of way of, it wasn't like I got signed to an agent and started modeling. It was like very much through friends and through the nightlife scene in New York in 2016, 2017.
And then you got a DM from a certain designer.
Yeah, actually it's really funny that we're at the Park Avenue Armory because the first show I ever walked was Marc Jacobs, and I got a DM, and that was kind of how I got the show. I went into a casting, didn't even know what that process was like, and it was all very whirlwind. Yeah, and so I just like sort of, the internet and social media has always been a real kind of part of the fabric of how I interact with fashion, even before I even was part of it. And so that's always been the case, I feel like, yeah.
And Dad, you're a real true New Yorker from Washington Heights.
Yeah, true.
Grew up in Washington Heights, and then when you started shooting, you would take your models out on the streets, just like you still do.
No, always, because I didn't have I had a room, but no place to photograph it except on the street. And I loved the street anyway, and I used to photograph wherever I lived. Sometimes I used to use the rooftops, but usually on the street, and sometimes Central Park.
When you first started, one of your first covers was Mademoiselle magazine, and
Yeah.
you took the model out of the studio and you put her in a phone booth.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And that was the cover. And I don't
Yes.
think that had really been, not a lot of people were doing that at the time.
No.
So what do you love about shooting on the street?
Well, it's free, so you don't have to pay, and I'm very quick. So I do very fast photos, so I'm out of there before you know it anyway. So it was a good, and now I have a studio, and I use it a lot, but I usually go downstairs. It's on Grand Street. I've had that for 43 years, but I usually do most of my work right there.
On the street?
Sometimes I go to Canal Street. That's one block down.
It's really far.
Yeah, or maybe Lafayette Street, but that's about it.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the fashion in photographs. So I don't know, when some people, when they look at photographs, I don't think realize how much the fashion makes an impact on the image. And so, Dara, this is a question for you as a stylist. You know, how does fashion impact and the styling impact an image? And not only that, but also, I mean, it's also the collaboration of the hair and the makeup, and it's the full team effort to create these images that, you know, I think sometimes people might not see right away.
Totally. I mean, when you say like, oh, like shooting on the street is free, actually that's so real, because that's why like so many of my shoots are on the street, because Interview Magazine is an independent magazine, so like there's no budgets, and you just shoot on the street.
Yeah.
It looks amazing and dynamic, and you meet all these interesting, crazy characters. And a lot of these stories, actually this one is like this all pink story that I did, and I'm in it, and I shot it with Daniel Arnold, and it was we're fully jocking your vibe, Arthur Elgort. Like, it's totally a copy of what you guys, you know, did for like Vogue in the 90s with the supers, but it's kind of like, for me, what I was like realizing when shooting on the street is that you need to kind of make, now at least, because I think, you know, like, you have to, the fashion needs to make that girl sort of so extraordinary that she distracts you from all the chaos that exists in the New York City street. Because now everyone's dressed amazing and everyone's taking an iPhone and looking great on the street. It's like, how do you make like the girl in your picture stand out against the person who has like the newest, trendiest, amazing outfit on the street? You have to make her look like an alien, you know, like a super fashion, fabulous alien. And so like, or you have to throw a prop like this red carpet out on Canal Street. And so it's just sort of like taking the girl and kind of making her look extraordinary and out of this world, and that is a collaboration between all those creative people: the hair, the makeup, the nails, and the fashion. And I think that's kind of how you make a picture on the street, totally.
And Dad, talking about fashion, you had a very special relationship with Azzedine Alaïa.
Yes.
And what made him such a brilliant designer? Why did you love shooting the fashion so much with him?
Well, it was free, and also they gave me clothes for my wife, and I
Word.
Yes, and I didn't charge him anything, and he's a nice guy as can be, and I liked his clothes. I thought he was a good designer, really good. And I got along with him, I think because we don't speak at all.
Well, because you
didn't-
don't speak good French and he didn't speak good English.
No,
So you
so
couldn't
we
really
didn't talk, and we had good models, especially Naomi Campbell, who was a genius, especially when Azzedine was there. And I took great pictures of them all the time. And then also Christie and Joan Severance, a few of my favorite models. So it was great, and I got no money for it, but Greta wore good clothes because of it. Very good clothes, and I wrapped them in my laundry so I didn't have to pay any extra.
When he was traveling back from the jobs, he would throw them in a suitcase and deliver them with the laundry to my mom.
You know, and then you had to air them out a little bit. But aside from that, I got along with him very well. And I think because we couldn't speak English, or I couldn't speak whatever, French or whatever. And we did a wonderful job. There's a book called Azzedine and Me. I think it's very hard to get, but you have to look it up on whatever.
Right, there's a new book that you did with pictures.
But they stopped making it.
Well, we'll tell them to reprint.
Well, oh, good.
After this.
Send me one.
Sophie can
I
tell.
will.
Not
So,
me.
Dara, I know you have a series on your Instagram, or is it on your TikTok, called The Little Black Alaïa Dress.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny.
So I love that
Yeah.
you both have your own Alaïa stories.
It's the best. God.
I know. Alaïa makes the best. So I wanted to talk about your process, Dara, when you prepare for a shoot. So what is your process like when you're preparing? How do you get the ideas, or are you commissioned? And then once you get it, what's the next step, and how do you get to the end result?
I mean, a lot of the time, like at interview especially, it starts with the talent and the kind of idea of the person, and then kind of thinking about what do we feel about this person right now? How do we want to see them? Do we want to transform them, or do we want to identify their like iconic thing and project that? And then it's pulling like reference images and research, and a lot of the time that can be like, you know, beautiful Arthur Elgort photos, or it can be like a meme that we scrolled past that we thought was really funny and gross or something, you know? And so like it's like an amalgamation of a lot of things, and then it's getting the clothes, which, you know, that's a boring kind of bureaucratic, you know, sort of fundamental process, but then it's playing with all of them, which is the fun part.
Dad, is that how you, I know, well, Grace is here in the audience.
No,
and
because
you
of
used
Grace,
to-
I kept working, thank God.
But when you two were
Because
talking about a
they
shoot,
like
what was the process?
They like the image. They like to see the background.
She wants a full length, a wide
Yes,
shot.
yes.
She wants to see the clothes.
Yeah, and then, and she posed it for me before the model poses.
She's
comes,
your test subject.
and not only that, she comes out sometimes better than the model, which is ridiculous, but no, she's a very, and so I'm lucky that I had her. And we maybe she'll do another job with me, who knows, if she gets her own stylist.
That's great.
But I would say I enjoyed Grace a lot. I went to China with her a lot, and I went to Italy a lot,
Russia.
and she never gets tired, and she's only 84 years old, so, no wonder why she's so good, because now she's on her peak. Anyway, that's the story.
That's an interesting thing that you said about her being better than the models sometimes, because I know you've had such a track record with your casting and sort of discovering some of the people that we now know as the biggest supermodels in the world from the time before people knew who they were. So Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, Cindy Crawford. So what makes a good model?
They love it, that's why. They can't stop it. And also, they shouldn't change their face. Meaning, don't do anything to your face. Keep it, the good models don't touch your face.
But you also love finding people on the street. Like, it doesn't have to be necessarily a model. Like, you'll say, oh, I just was at Balthazar and the hostess was so great.
Well, I think she's amazing, and she's 5'2", and she looks like she's a giant, but she's not. And she's so good, and you can go to Balthazar, and maybe they'll give you a better table if you talk to her. I don't know.
I also know that sometimes you would pull, like from set in between shots, you'd pull, for example, Wendy Whitelaw, the makeup artist, is one of the famous pictures, which is somewhere, I think, in this slideshow. And it's the one of the girl from, you see her from the back walking down Park Avenue.
And she was better than the model.
And she was the makeup artist, and I think it was in between shots, and you just snapped, I think you said 1 or 2 snaps, and that was it. And it's one of your, I think,
well,
favorite
it's on the
pictures.
cover of my first book.
Yeah.
And she was amazing. I haven't seen her in quite a while, but she was amazing. But sometimes I like the hairdressers and whatever, and I use them in the pictures.
And you were always also using your kids as extras.
All the time. I mean, I would say Ansel is my friend, and she is the best model I know. He has to go to the bathroom. He'll be back. But anyway, no, and Warren too. Sophie wasn't as lucky because he needed men more than girls.
Right, you needed the boys more than the girls.
More, yeah, so
I kind of
Sophie-
lost out a little bit. But
Yeah,
that's okay.
but she worked all right.
Yeah, I was okay.
Now
that's why I ended up
I'm
behind
still
the camera,
here
you know.
because of Sophie, not because of me.
That's not true. But okay, so Dara, I love about your career that you work on some of the top campaigns and top magazine covers in the world, but then you also have this really fun Instagram and TikTok, and just you're able to do both and so seamlessly. And why do you think that's important right now?
I mean, I guess we were talking the other day, and I said that, like, to me, fashion is a way to communicate something, a feeling about desire, about what's amazing, cool design, interesting images and silhouettes, and for a long time, maybe that way was just through the pages of a magazine, and now there's so many different ways people come to find that, and so for me, it's really important to kind of go where people are, and so most of the time, people are on their phone, and they're on Instagram or TikTok, and sometimes it doesn't translate just to post a picture that's really beautiful that you did in an editorial to that and reach people in the same way. And so you kind of have to go to what's native and what makes sense on that platform. And so Actually, it makes me feel so good that you said that Grace puts like kind of does the fitting on yourself, because I do that for shoots a lot, and I always feel like, I'm the easiest guinea pig because I'm there and I'm down, so it's like, it's easy just to kind of like try things on and play with them and fiddle with them.
Stand in for the picture.
And stand in for the picture and make it work, and then so kind of putting that online and showing people even the process of how something's made is like something that's interesting to people, and it helps them identify and connect to what ends up being the picture even more, which is a cool thing. And then you get all this feedback, and some people say they hate it, and that's really fun. And then
In the
some people
comments?
love it. Yeah, like I'm down. I like the dialogue. I think it's cool,
Can have the real-time conversation.
Totally, yeah.
And Dad, you love Instagram more than basically anyone I know.
No, no, not only that, if you want to see my pictures, look at Instagram, it's amazing. I don't do it myself anymore, because I would
Or
use,
ever.
or no, I would
Are
say.
you the one posting?
Now, the
It's
girl
Elizabeth.
was
She's in the
there.
front row.
Could you stand up? Go in your face. Yeah, and I said,
Thank you for
I don't
feeding
think
us.
he could stand up. No,
It's okay, we don't need to put her on the spot, but she's amazing. You can see all the work on Instagram, and you do love looking at it. I'll get a phone call sometimes that says, have you looked at Instagram lately? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I was just on it. He's like, what did you think about my picture?
no.
So-
And not only that, I sell from that. So,
Yeah.
sometimes people could see, I love that picture. I'm going to call Staley Wise and get it.
That's good.
So that was good too.
Well, I know you obviously started out your career shooting on film because there was no digital.
Yeah.
And then digital cameras came out. But I think you sort of took the original selfie. And there's a lot of photos of you that you're sort of taking your own picture in the mirror, or you're turning the camera around on yourself.
Yeah.
And that was sort of before people were taking selfies with iPhones.
And also, I had no one else to photograph but me, so it was sad in a way. But sometimes that happens.
But now everyone has a camera in their pocket because they
Yeah.
all have an iPhone.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Is everyone now a photographer, or does it's more about the person who's taking the image than what they're using?
Well, I think it was easier when we didn't have so much good people. Now everybody's good, so they should be here with me. We have room here. But no, but I love photography. I began photography, I think I was 28 years old, and it took me 2 years to become Mademoiselle favorite or whatever. And then a Lieberman called me and said, you're too good for Mademoiselle. I said, well, you're asking yourself, why don't I do Vogue instead? And he said, I never thought of that. So I'll do Vogue. And I did Vogue for maybe 50 years. And then I used to do British Vogue, and that's how I met Grace Coddington. And I think that was the first job I ever had. It was called Mandy Clapperton, and she had 2 dogs. And it was called Apollonia. And that was my first start for British Vogue. And all of a sudden, then before I knew it, I was doing this one, Italian Vogue, with
Anna Della Russo?
yes.
And isn't that the first time you shot Kate Moss?
Yes, and I never saw her, and I said, she's short, and she's not that good looking, and then I saw the photos, and I said, I don't believe it. No, they were amazing.
Wow.
She has that thing, because when you see the photograph, you don't believe it.
But you also love photographing ballet and jazz.
Yes.
What about both of those things do you love?
Oh, I started as a ballet dancer.
Well, you
Me-
started photographing
Yeah.
ballerinas.
No, I wasn't. But then my brother said to me, "You're going to make no money. Why don't you think of fashion?" And I said, "Oh, the one, I know fashion. My mother has it at home." So I tried fashion, and I kind of liked it, and I kept working.
And what is it about both ballet and then you also do jazz musicians?
I can't stop. I don't know why.
You just like,
Yeah,
you like people in action?
Yeah.
All right, so in each episode of Portrait Mode, we do a rapid fire segment of questions. And I thought it would be fun to try that live with you two today. Dad, you've experienced this before. Don't worry, the questions are very easy. I wanted to show a little preview so that you know what to expect. So this is with one of our episodes when we did Rita Moreno.
Oh, I love that.
Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Probably not, but let's see what happens.
All right, let's give it a shot. Favorite role you ever played?
Anita.
Favorite pair of shoes? I heard you have a lot of them.
Oh my God. Okay, any pair of Manolos.
Period.
Last song you listened to?
A boy like that who killed your brother.
Worst advice you ever received?
Shut up.
She's 94 years old.
Not good.
Not good.
No. I mean, I may have something valuable to say.
Exactly.
Even if it's only once.
Yeah. This or that. So this or that, you say which one you prefer.
This.
Oh. No, I mean, I'm going to ask you two things.
Oh.
But I'm glad you knew. That was great. You're actually the very rapid fire.
That was a perfect, oh, wonderful. Okay.
New York or California?
New York. Always New York.
Kindle or hardcover?
Always hardcover. I read newspapers, I
Classic.
don't read my phone.
Me too. I read the newspaper too. Walk or drive?
Walk.
Flats or heels?
Heels.
Sharks or jets?
Sharks, are you serious?
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Fast or furious?
Furious.
Yes. Performing in front of a crowd of friends or in front of a crowd of strangers?
Strangers.
I like that answer. Well, thank you. That's all I have for you.
Oh God, that was exhausting.
Icon. Oh my God.
And she's 92 years old.
Oh wow.
So now we're gonna do our own smaller version of that. And so what I'll do is I'll ask you both the question and you both answer it.
Okay.
Okay, so, and they're sort of New York City centered questions since this is about New York. So last meal that you had out in New York City?
Popeyes.
No. I went to the place across the street. It's very cheap, and I had pancakes there and bacon. You
The
know,
landmark.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite piece of art on your wall?
My wife, I have it on my, you go into my, the apartment, and they're there.
A picture of your wife.
Yes.
I love that answer. That's so nice.
Okay.
Mine's a picture of me, not so nice and handsome.
Oh, well, that's good, too.
That's good too, though. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite shop to buy a new outfit?
What?
Bergdorf Goodman. New York. That's the most New York answer.
I like that.
Can't afford that, but like, you know.
Favorite place to go shopping?
Are you talking to me?
Yep.
I went to shop with Ansel. It was on 17th Street.
Oh yes, Filson.
And
Word.
I love the pockets because they have it there and there. You got the same jacket. Yeah.
Get a model.
Right. Runway.
And he paid for it.
That's the best part.
Nice.
So, you have children who pay for you is pretty good.
Okay, so now we're gonna do a few this or that questions. So uptown or downtown?
I like both.
Both.
Because I have to go
Midtown.
to my studio which is on Central Park West, and my Grand Street studio is far away.
Okay. Digital or film?
Both for me. I like digital because you can see your mistakes. That's what's good about digital. Sometimes you see the mistakes and everybody else sees them too. So that is not good. When I didn't have digital, nobody saw but me.
You could just get rid of it and no one would ever
Yeah,
know.
and they didn't know, right?
Too late.
Yeah.
That's all you got.
Too late.
And that's Jesse Davis, and they used to smoke years ago. Now they don't smoke anymore.
Some people have stopped.
Yeah, no.
What about you, Dara? Digital or film?
Oh God, both too. We're so indecisive. This is
You're
bad.
very indecisive. Okay, Instagram or TikTok?
Who?
TikTok.
You lost me.
He doesn't do TikTok yet, but we should get you
Yeah, well,
on.
I'm gonna make a TikTok with you later. Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna happen. And then this is my last one, subway or taxi?
I know I take cabs because my left hurts, but I used to take the train all the time. And I remember when Ansel was going to PPS, I had to teach him how to drive the subway. And I always stayed in the first car because you could talk to the conductor, and also, and then I would sit not too close to them, and then I would see whether he got out or not.
So you would kind of trail him to make
Yes,
sure he made it
and
for a
then
while?
once he did that, then I didn't have to worry. That's Sophie,
Oh.
but she was a little girl then.
That's the Wendy
Canal
Whitelaw
Street, yeah.
picture right here.
I
that
love
was
this
talking
picture.
about with the
Now
makeup
that
artist.
is Wendy Whitelaw, who was better than the model.
That picture's always on my mood board. Upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one more question before I open it for Q&A.
Okay.
One more for each of you. So, Dara, what's next in fashion?
Oh my God, no
Is that a
pressure.
hard one?
Yeah.
Okay, something that we should look out for in fashion that's next. Not like general, just something.
Oh my God. Do we have different questions?
You have different questions.
What's next?
Black?
Yeah, black dresses.
I know, you guys are both wearing black.
No.
No.
Could
I'm
be nice.
wearing whatever I could find. But I think she dresses better than me.
Oh no, that's actually not true.
You both are dressed very well. Okay, I'm gonna ask you yours first and you can think about it for a minute. Okay, so Dad, I'm gonna end with this for you because it is a conversation about photography. Now that everyone has a camera in their pocket, what are some easy photography tips so people can take a great photo? Yes, you do. You've given me
Take a
so
lot of
many.
photos and maybe
Take a
one
lot
of
and
them-
edit down.
and
That's a
maybe
good.
somebody will come out good.
That's great advice, actually.
And
Take a lot and edit
also,
down.
and also, the person you take could be good too. That would help.
Choose a good subject.
Yeah, no.
Take a lot of photos and edit them down.
Yeah,
How do you make a good subject out of a bad subject?
you don't. That's why you have to choose good models. And I mean, this is very good model. He was a Brazilian. This is Christy and Linda,
Wow.
and they're a genius. I didn't do anything except take the picture. I said, go and do your stuff. And so I was lucky, no?
Well, I will open it up for questions.
Okay.
If anyone has, okay, see the first question over here. Oh, sorry, we have to wait for the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, Arthur. Hi, Sophie. Arthur, one of my favorite stories you ever told me was about your photo shoot with Kate Moss and the elephants. Can you tell us how that happened?
Well, everybody was sick except me and Kate Moss and the elephant and the and also the what do you call it? The guy who clicks so they listened.
Oh, the elephant trainer. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They go click, and they'll do whatever they say. So then no, I was lucky. So I did that picture just with Kate Moss, and it came out wonderful. But I always had good subjects. And sometimes I had myself, which is good, but not that good. I would rather do a Michelle or something like that.
Okay, anybody else? Over here. Mike then.
I actually have two questions, one for each of you.
Okay.
So, Dara, since you are in front of the camera and behind the camera, can you tell us a little bit how one activity informs the other, and which one you prefer, or if
You like them both?
I like it. Yeah, no. I like them both. I think it helps to have like knowing what it's like in front of the camera helps, especially when you're working with a model who maybe isn't the best, isn't Chrissy Turlington genius, Linda Evangelista, Kate Moss. It helps you kind of instruct them and bring them out, especially when you're dressing somebody who might be apprehensive in front of the camera. I think a lot of that is kind of like having this sort of psychological therapy moment with a person and bringing something out of them that they might not be comfortable showing on their own, and I think that's helped for sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Arthur, I'm just curious, when you were starting out, who were some of your influences? Which photographers were you looking
Irving Penn and Abaddon. And I like but I like a lot of older photographers too. So I like Teague a lot. And I like Cecil Beaton a lot. I think he was a genius because and drawing is beautiful. So I would say, and Cartier-Bresson, I would say I kind of, I'm sure I missed somebody, but I think these are all really good.
Okay. I think there's somebody in this corner. Okay, perfect.
I can't hear you.
Arthur, I was curious if you could talk about, I'm here.
Oh, there.
Hello.
Okay.
Where?
I was curious
All the
if
way
you
in
could
the
talk
back.
a little bit about using the Rolleiflex and about your compositional process in a square format versus in a rectangular format, and why that works so well for you.
I love the Rolleiflex, and I think I began photography because of the Rolleiflex. I would say Irving Penn and Abaddon were the geniuses of the Rolleiflex. So I decided if they were good, maybe it'll help my photography better. And it did, for sure. And I think Sophie has a Rolleiflex, no?
I do.
And I used to have, I always bought 4 of, because I had,
You bought 4 of each camera?
yes, now I have 1.
So you've given
Because-
away 3, 1 to each kid, and you kept 1.
Yes, so I still have 1. And so that's the deal. I can't complain. And I love jazz musicians. They're just a riot. Could they see this or just me?
They can see it too.
No, I was wondering.
They see the same thing that you're seeing.
Oh, good, I'm glad, because I was wondering. So, yeah, so I enjoy photography too much sometimes. You can ask my wife, right?
How do you capture the essence of New York City?
Well, you go out on the street and you'll see it right there. Look at this picture.
Yeah, New York ain't shy.
Look at, that was called the Lennox Lounge. It was on yeah. And that was a wonderful place. I wish they would open again. They were wonderful. Okay? And whatever.
Yeah, you gotta be fast. You gotta be ready,
No,
ready for anything.
No, I am ready. I was faster before. I would say now I have to sit down a lot. Before, I used to be on my knees or on, But also the good models. It has a lot to do with the good models. Like this girl or that girl. They were great models. All you have to do is take a picture. I was lucky.
The next question.
Yeah, hi. I have a question to Dara. I'm curious about the process of creating a fashion story, fashion spread in the magazine. How does it go? Do you guys have a meeting once a week? Does the editor pitch in stories? You pitch stories, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, at Interview, my editor-in-chief is Mel Ottenberg, who is an icon legend and also very like decisive and wants it to like have a real message and a real feeling. And if it's not doing that, you got to restart. And even that doesn't matter if it's 2 days before the shoot. You got to just do it. And so it's always about like, okay, so what's the idea here, and what's the message, what's the fashion, what's the look, and it can't just be all over the place. You have to be decisive. And I think that's kind of like the big part about building a fashion story out, is like all of these things sort of have to somehow together build a character and build a woman and a way of addressing and a way of being that is convincing and exciting and creates desire. Yeah, I hope that answers it.
Hello.
Sorry, she's got the mic, so whoever she hands it to is next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had a question for Arthur. I was wondering, now that you've mastered photography and you've gone really deep into loving photography, and it's great that you still do love photography, I was just wondering what's on your mind right now that excites you, that you feel like you're new to?
It could be the girl who takes me to the table. I think she was terrific. I don't know Carolyn, no.
You're always
No,
into finding
Adele.
your next subject.
Always, always. Or sometimes on the subway. This girl I didn't know at all. I knew Iman well. I did her first pictures when she came to the United States. So, and I kind of like girls better than boys. Don't know why, but I always...
Always photography is still your thing.
Kind of, yeah.
I think there's somebody up. Oh, sorry. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. First of all, I like the family collaboration. I did see, Sophie, some of the early interviews you did on your Instagram of your father, which I think was a sort of a takeoff of what
you
showed. Fabulous. But I think I have this right, but and I know the subject matter here has to do with the street, but in your studio, I think when you first had your studio, remember it was very white and so forth, and this was an editorial you had done, I think the late 70s, using the model as the feature, but you also utilized video televisions.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my question. And you had someone holding a camera in the background. That was all kind of background. But I was just curious that maybe because you and I think Bert Stern were the only ones who really, did that concept of like videotaping and that kind of thing.
When somebody had a camera that was a movie camera, I always said, you work with him, because then it came to life. So
You had an assistant, Peter Kagan, who was doing a lot of emotion work, right?
Yes.
And so sometimes he would film while you would shoot.
Yes, I would allow him.
And it's great.
No,
You have
because
that
I
footage
was
now.
paying him, so that's me, God.
That's a selfie.
Yes. Yeah, I enjoyed. And I would say this is the greatest model.
Okay, I think we have a question right here.
Hi, I'm curious to hear from all three of you how you think fashion photography has evolved conceptually in storytelling and themes, and what you think about the current state of fashion photography?
I think it's great that so many more people have access to a camera, because before, maybe there would be somebody amazing out there, but you could never see their work. And also, I think due to the internet and social media, you get to see what they're creating also. They have some way to put it out there. So I think you get to see like so many more voices and so many more stories being told. So I think that's something that's really cool. What do you think, Dad?
Me, I enjoy photography, obviously. I do it every day. And if I don't have if I go to the park, I take pictures of trees and I talk to them as if it's a model. But he's not. He's a tree. But I take very good pictures. I've already have my next, we have doormen. And I make cards for them. And I already have the picture. It's a snow, and it's one walking in the snow. And I don't know who the girl is or nothing, but it's a great picture. And I know what my card is for next year already.
So every Christmas, he gives the doorman a Christmas card that features one of his photo prints. And he comes up with a different sort of winter theme each year to put on the card.
Yeah.
He's saying he's so into photography that he's already chosen the card for next year.
Yeah, kind of ready. And some people keep them, and the other ones take the envelope and see the money and throw it away. So we have both.
Well, the people who kept them have been pretty smart, I would think.
No,
little do they
don't.
know what's
But
more
now
money.
they have a lot of, and they sell them on Instagram. I mean, whatever. That's a
Did
great
you want to
picture.
answer her question?
That's me hanging off a...
That's you?
And you took the picture?
No. Ethan James Green took that.
Oh, I thought maybe you had a tripod.
No.
That would be impressive.
Yeah.
Well, you should think about that.
I'm noting that down.
Do we have any more questions?
Oh, hi. This question is for Arthur. I was curious if you could actually talk about, because as a photographer of the digital age, I find like darkroom processes really interesting to hear about, especially like as like a fashion photographer who was like working a lot professionally. So I was wondering if there's anything you could reveal about your darkroom process and like your analog photos, and if you had any like, just like personal experiences, like if you work with a team or solo, or like how that experience might be different, like what it's like working on a picture yourself in the darkroom versus like with assistants or a team or anything. Just kind of curious about that.
I just do it. I don't know what I do right, but I guess I'm good. So I'm still alive, and I do it I think I took I think I missed one chance, one time. But aside from that, I'm doing it every day. Whether it's trees.
It's about the darkroom. So how have you developed your images in the darkroom throughout the years?
Well, I haven't been in the darkroom for 20 years, I would say.
But you've had wonderful assistants.
Yeah,
That's what the peanut gallery over here is yelling.
And,
They're yelling about Daphne, who's in the back. Yay.
Now I
Daphne
would say,
has done the darkroom.
but he was taught by Robert, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. What was the name of your teacher? Robert. So when you left,
when Robert
left, you came, and you did the darkroom for years. Now she's teaching my kids how to do it. So now, and then there's a very beautiful girl named Danielle, who I met in Alaska. She's not from Alaska. But I met both of them from, I think was Christian, who lined it up, and now they're all friends of mine. And we still do pictures together all the time. So I don't throw away anything. I keep it.
I think we have time for one more question, and then we're going to have a reception. So I don't know if anyone, yep.
Oh.
Thank you so much for this panel. It's been so amazing. I was just curious for Arthur and Dara just to both talk about the power of eyes in photography, because I feel like both when I see you model and Arthur in your fashion photography, the eyes are so strong and so evocative. Is that something that you feel like you could kind of like talk about the process of drawing out the power of the eyes in a photo? Both as a model and as a photographer.
I think I had good subjects. I pick good subjects all the time. And I didn't know Chrissy Turlington because when I met her first time, he said, "Oh, we have better models than this." And I said to the booker, "I'll keep Chrissy Turlington, you keep the other girls." And guess what? I think she's still the best.
I guess when I'm in front of the camera, or even when I'm like helping select a photo, when we're editing shoots, I feel like it's always about having a look that says they're thinking about something beyond, hello, here's my pretty dress. You know what I mean? Like,
Look at this.
Yeah, there's joy, or there's introspection, or there's anxiety, whatever it is. I feel like for me, even when I'm in front of the camera, I'm always kind of like, we talk about what we're doing and at the beginning of the day, and then you kind of don't even say exactly what you're trying to look for in every photo after that, but you kind of know who the character is and where you are, and you're looking at the scenario, and then you kind of respond to what's happening, and it's very instinctual and visceral. And so for me, I'm always kind of thinking about, it's like trying to put myself, I mean, I guess that's sort of like a bit of acting or something. It's like you kind of put yourself in the scenario that you see yourself in, and you imagine what must this person be feeling, and then that kind of, I guess, comes through. And I think that's important because it helps you connect with a picture more than something you scroll past,
See, that one, for example, I was with Balanchine, and he told me, "You're not allowed to take pictures." But he said, "Take it anyway." So it was kind of and I said, I have a small camera named, it was called Konica, very simple camera. I had one lens, and they said, "Now take as many pictures as you can quickly, because the stage manager don't like it," right? And I was sitting, Balanchine and me were sitting like this, right? And they said, "Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it." And guess what? I use that for Christmas a lot.
The doormen have one of those pictures
and
in their Christmas cards.
What is it called?
The Nutcracker.
Yes.
New York City Ballet.
And I always go to the Nutcracker. And my son was in the Nutcracker. And that's why he became kind of, he thought maybe I'll be a star because I had the slowest part.
Smallest part of the
Yeah,
Nutcracker.
kind of. And he did okay. So I'm lucky.
Well, thank you everyone for coming, and we want to invite everybody to a reception. But first, thank you so much to my panelists, Dara and my dad. And we invite everyone to the reception, but we will be playing the Portrait Mode with Sophie Elgort episode on Arthur in here. So if anybody wants to see it, we're not doing it as a seated thing. It'll be on the screen, and you can come in with a clear drink, I'm told,
What does that mean?
You can't bring red wine in here. You can bring white wine or water. A
Oh,
clear
I
drink is
see.
allowed in here.
I understand.
If you want to see that.
No,
And I'm-
I like red wine. I mean,
so he won't be in here.
no, I like,
But
no, I don't mind it.
No.
No.
but I
And
want
like
to announce
champagne.
that.
And I think they have
All right.
champagne.
Well, welcome to the
They
reception.
do.
But-
Champagne, time for
And
champagne.
thank you again for coming. And if you want to see other episodes of Portrait Mode, they're all now online for season 1. And we're announcing today that we've actually been renewed for season 2. So thank you to the All Arts team. And if you have any ideas for guests, please let me know your ideas. I'm looking for great subjects across all genres.
Yeah.